To describe this story as horrifying would be an understatement. And if that sounds like a warning, then that's exactly what it's meant to be. It deals with the sexual abuse of children by satanic cults.
15-letnia dziewczyna z Londynu, którą nazwano Teresa, na potrzeby programu Dzieci Szatana z 1989 roku, opowiedziała swoją historię o rytualnym znęcaniu się przez jej babcię i innych satanistów. Trafiła do sekty, gdy miała 2 lata i nie znała rzeczywistości, która nas otacza. W tym filmie zobaczycie wywiad z dziewczyną oraz jej matką. W niektórych momentach może wam ucinać głos, ale to ze względu na cenzurę. Oraz tutaj krótka adnotacja do YouTube'a, aby nie zdjęli mi tego filmu. Także to tyle ode mnie i zapraszam was do oglądania.
Friends of family and strangers and my family used to make me abort the babies I had.
It would be hard to imagine more misery and suffering than what Teresa says she's had to endure.
And us kids would be made to do things with the adults and the animals, and then a sacrifice would happen.
The sacrifice, were these animal sacrifices?
Animals and people.
On what scale do you think this was happening?
Enormous, far beyond what we've ever heard of here before.
Teresa's mother, Bridget.
You're talking about mass murder?
Yes, on a scale that this country's never heard of before. Like the old people's homes now, only these are...
For the first time, Teresa is learning what it's like to live with love instead of fear.
Pretty low.
In this quiet English village, with the help of her mother, she's slowly repairing her broken life. Teresa is now 15, but at the age of 2, she was left in the care of this woman, the grandma she called Nan. And that, she says, is when her torment started.
Who was the leader? Who was the boss of the gang, of the cult?
At home it was my nan.
Your Nan made you have animals?
Yeah. Like goats and donkeys.
How many men or how many people would have with you?
What, at one time?
Yes.
About everyone who was there, which must have been about 20. You know, from 10 to 20 people. If it was a big ceremony, it used to be 30.
What would your grandma be doing when these men were forcing themselves on you?
Usually laughing or smiling or having another man or other men. I know what's true and what's not. No, I know what I saw.
Children don't make up elaborate lies that this would have to be if it was a lie, which I know it is not. It isn't.
This couldn't be a terrible dream, a nightmare that you're reliving?
No. It's no dream. It's a nightmare, but it's not one you can wake up from. It's there all the time.
This really happened? You're quite sure of that?
Yeah.
The police don't think Teresa made up a story. Some of the cult members are to stand trial. 5 men have been charged with rape. As for Nan, the grandmother, she's 61 and lives in this council flat in South London. She's charged on 7 counts of aiding and abetting rape and 2 counts of performing abortions on Teresa. If you're finding this hard to believe, so did I at first. But then there are the medical reports, evidence of sustained sexual abuse. And there's this, a statement prepared for 60 Minutes by Teresa's psychiatrist. It says, in my opinion, Teresa's account is not the product of a psychotic illness, nor the figment of a fertile imagination. I believe her to be telling the truth.
I know what's true and
Wiele osób nie wierzyło w historię Teresy, dlatego stosowano różne środki, aby potwierdzić, że ta nie kłamie. Zwrócono się m.in. do terapeuty Raya Wire, który nieraz pomógł ofiarom sekty. Oto co miał do powiedzenia po przesłuchaniu rozmowy z Teresą.
Do you believe Teresa's story?
I believe Teresa's story. It's exactly the same story as I've heard from men who says they've done it.
You've dealt with other cases like hers?
Yes.
21 cases like hers, he says, in the past 2 years alone.
Themes like they were put in boxes with spiders and worms, where they were trapped in fear, where there was a high use of excrement and urine, where there was talk of human sacrifice.
Take just one of those rituals, putting children in boxes with spiders and worms. Now, listen to what Teresa told her mother.
And they had a coffin-like box that children were put in with spiders and snakes and the lid shut and left in there. I would have come out deranged. I could not have coped with that mentally at all.
You have evidence to back up stories like Teresa's, that this is really happening?
Well, we have that age of child, 6, 5 and 4, giving information that ties up with Teresa. How do those children know? How do those children able to describe rituals, to talk about ceremonies, to talk about sacrificing animals? How do those children know?
Nightmares, imagining it?
You can't imagine those things at 3 and 4 years old, and you also don't have the evidence of anal abuse and abuse and all that other abuse that clearly those children have experienced and endured.
During these ceremonies, was Satan, the devil, ever referred to?
He was called Lucifer.
What did they say about the devil, about Lucifer?
That people made him happy.
Sacrifices to please the
He
devil.
used to talk about
According to Teresa, the worst rituals took place at a house somewhere in the country.
it was big, you know, expensive. From the front, it looked like a castle. You know, it had a long drive and big double wooden doors.
Do you think they were rich people then?
Very rich.
Teresa wspomina o rytualnym domu na wsi, do którego nigdy policja nie dotarła, a przecież byłby to jeden z najważniejszych dowodów potwierdzający słowa dziewczyny. Ta poinformowała nas, że osoby należące do kultu bardzo dbały o to, aby dziewczyna nie zapamiętała drogi do tego miejsca. Była odurzana czy nawet bita do nieprzytomności. Wszystko po to, aby nie wiedziała, gdzie się znajduje.
Teresa was always drugged, or on a couple of occasions she says she was knocked out, so that she never fully knew the route.
There was a tramp who was brought in once, you know, and he was and they ate him, or bits of him.
They killed a man at a ceremony
Yeah,
in front of you?
yeah, in front of all of us.
Did the tramp, did this man fight back?
No, I think he was, you know, drunk or something. He seemed really dopey. He was laughing a lot when he was brought in. And he started screaming when they began to cut. But after a while, you know, he died. I'd seen a few killings before then. Although I wasn't used to it, you know, that was the worst one. I really don't know what I thought. I suppose I thought, thank God it's not me.
Let me get this right now. Are you saying that you saw more than one person killed in that house?
Yeah. I've seen loads of babies. Just newborn babies. Or kid ones which were only small. You know, 4-year-olds. any age really.
Did they ever say they might kill
They threatened to kill a little girl who, when I left, was still at the house.
a friend?
Huh?
What little girl?
My little girl, Alex. She's about 4 now.
You mean you had a child?
Yeah.
How old were you when you had that child?
11.
Motherhood at the age of 11.
I never talked
But
about it.
from what Teresa told her mother, it wasn't the only pregnancy.
We think about 7 or 8 times. It's hard to say. It was constantly happening from the time she was capable of being pregnant.
What happened to the pregnancies, to the babies?
They were aborted by my nan or by one of the doctors at the house.
There were doctors there at that house?
Yeah, there was 2, I think. Yeah, and a nurse.
What would happen to the fetuses, the unborn babies?
I used to be taken away most of the time, and one time the baby was taken out of me and then in front of me because it was still alive.
And then, what would happen?
Well, after they it, they would eat it. Well, we were also made to eat it.
You were made to eat your own fetus.
Yeah.
Who made you do this?
My nan.
Ten fragment wypowiedzi jest dość przerażający, ale zwróćmy uwagę na zachowanie dziewczyny. Widać, że podchodzi do tego bardzo emocjonalnie, przez co skłaniam się ku stwierdzeniu, iż mówi prawdę. Niestety nie znam się na analizie mowy ciała, więc tą kwestię pozostawiam wam.
Grandmothers, I mean, the vision it conjures up for you, sweet old lady with grey hair, rosy cheeks, holding her arms out to love her grandchildren. And it was exactly the reverse.
But why was Teresa living with Nan in the first place and not with her mother?
Well, when my first marriage broke up, I took the children with me and couldn't cope. So I gave them to their father, who in turn moved to his mother's.
To Nan's place?
Yeah. And when he left the Nan's place, he left the children there.
How do you feel now towards her grandma and the other people who did all those things to your daughter?
They disgust me. They are the worst form of life this earth has had the misfortune to create. Vile.
Did you ever try to run away? You must have been frightened.
A couple of times I did, but my uncle, he caught me and brought me back.
Going to the police? Did that occur to you?
No. No. I thought it was normal, you know, even though I didn't like it. You know, I mean, you don't like to eat greens, but you know, somehow I thought it was just her being called to be kind or something like that.
She said to me it was something that everybody did, she thought, you know, like you don't like going to school or the dentist, you don't like going to the black masses.
It was never any different. I didn't have nothing to compare it to.
All part of life, Teresa thought. Even a miscarriage one day at school.
Yeah, I asked the teacher if I could go to the toilet, and she allowed me out. I went into the toilet and the baby was in my knickers. I thought it was dead, but it wasn't. It was still moving.
And yet no one at school knew?
No.
Saw anything?
No. Or if they did, they didn't say. No, she was treated for a high temperature, fever, nothing more.
What did she do with the baby?
She kept her for a while because she was frightened that they'd use the child as part of the rituals. So she turned the pencil case into a little coffin. Apparently she put roses in to make her smell sweet, put a letter with her, pictures of herself and her brother, a picture of me.
And then I put it down the chute because I didn't want my nan to get it.
Zadajmy sobie jeszcze jedno pytanie. Przecież w tym domu dochodziło do masowych morderstw. Więc co sataniści robili z ciałami? W jaki sposób się ich pozbywali? Na szczęście reporter zadał to pytanie Teresie.
They had a tub, pretty big, I don't know. A very big tub, and they used to put the bodies and bones in there. And it used to go like, fizzy and that. And then there was nothing left. Well, there didn't seem to be, but when they cleared it out, there used to be a sludge at the bottom.
Teresa's story, her account, doesn't really surprise you.
It doesn't surprise me in the light of satanic abuse, no.
Do you get frustrated with people who just won't accept that these things do happen?
Yes, because I've worked with murderers in prisons for years. Not that long ago, a boy was found in a forest in southern England without a head. We have no doubts that men can do that. And yet when we start talking about men within Satanism who actually believe in evil and it's the right to express evil, we suddenly have a doubt.
As I was leaving Teresa's place, she handed me this note. It's addressed to the film crew. She says, "Thanks for bothering to help kids like me. I hope it helps." On the other side, there's a poem Teresa made up while she was staying at Nan's place. She calls it Nothing Left.
Teresa pozostawiła list. Jego treść pozwolę sobie zostawić dla wspierających, bo przecież dzięki nim powstał ten materiał. Jeśli ty chcesz dołączyć do naszego małego grona wspieraczy, możesz wejść w pierwszy link w opisie, a w zamian dostaniesz szybciej filmy, czy też podziękowania na koniec odcinka. Teraz zadaj sobie pytanie, czy uwierzyłeś lub uwierzyłaś w historię Teresy? Postanowiłem przeszukać internet i znalazłem kilka artykułów, które sugerują, iż dziewczyna mogła kłamać. Otóż film, który teraz widzicie, został nakręcony w 1989 roku. I jeszcze w tym samym roku młoda kobieta i jej matka pojawiły się w odcinku brytyjskiego programu zatytułowanego The Devil's Work, który został wyemitowany 17 lipca 1989 roku. Tym razem nadano jej pseudonim Natalii, a we wstępie stwierdzono, że nigdy wcześniej o tym nie mówiła. Więc czy był to tylko chwyt marketingowy ze strony producentów i ze względu na ochronę danych osobistych zmieniono jej imię, czy ta historia jest po prostu zmyślona? Wiele wskazuje na to, że faktycznie była w coś wciągnięta. Przecież mamy zarzuty postawione przez policję, czy też dokumenty medyczne, które jasno twierdzą, że Teresa została wykorzystana. Ale jak zawsze, ostateczną opinię pozostawiam tobie. No i jeżeli nadal mnie słuchasz, napisz w komentarzu diabeł, a ja przypnę ci serduszko. Będę wiedział, że obejrzałeś lub obejrzałaś film do końca. No i na ekranie widzisz po prawej stronie film dopasowany specjalnie do ciebie, a po lewej mój najnowszy materiał. Także to tyle ode mnie, na razie i cześć.